Okay.
All right. Usually there's a button. So welcome to MeetUp group, Women in Real Estate and Investing. Hold on, somebody's coming in. My name's Katherine Nilbrink, and I'm your host. Today is March 21st, 2023, and we're going to be talking with Sanary and Lin about all things self-storage. So I'm really excited about it. Welcome, Jessica. Feel free to put on your video so that we can see you. Nancy's having some trouble with hers, but it's always nice to see everybody's faces. So nice to see you. So I'm not going to jump into a lot of introduction. I'm going to just say, start asking some questions. And I'd really love Lin and Sanary to first tell us a little bit about yourselves and how you got into real estate and and then we'll move into the self-storage part and, what made you decide to invest in self-storage? What makes that fun for you and interesting versus all of the other things that we can invest in? And, I hope that that's okay with you, Sanary and Lin, because I'm also going to say that if anybody has any questions throughout this, just jump right in. I really like to host this as a way to have a conversation, so that everybody is getting something out of it together. And, for me, it's really about women supporting women and how I can, help people understand more about real estate investing and bring people to the table that may need help and, so we can all work together. So I'm really excited to have Sanary and Lin here today. I met Sanary through a mastermind group that we were in real estate, and we just really hit it off and little soul sisters. So and she just has really, and she was just starting her real estate journey, and since then she's really started to move into it and bought her first multifamily property, and just really excited to hear about what she's at today and how she's come so far. So, and share all of her wonderful knowledge. And Lin and Sanary are partners, and I haven't met Lin before today, so I'm really excited to hear from her as well. So I'm going to let you guys take it away. So why don't you first just start off and tell us a little bit about yourselves and how you got into real estate and what drew you to this, the real estate investing spot.
Okay, sure. Sis, you want to do our intro?
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Lin.
And my name is Sanary Lim, and together
we're the Lim Storage Sisters.
I don't know how well we're syncing. And we are eight-figure multi-million money
making magnets,
manifesting magical
miracles.
It works a lot better in person.
It is. Yeah, I've seen it in person many times, and so you weren't completely synced up. So if somebody wants to, just tell us a little bit about what you were saying so that we heard you better, because I think it's really brilliant how you've branded yourselves.
So what we were saying was, we are eight-figure multi-million money-making magnets manifesting magical miracles. And this is, if you look at our pictures, you'll see, our little hand signs. These are cat whiskers, and there are 8 fingers, and then that represents the 8 M's in our mantra, which is the eight-figure multi-million money-making magnets manifesting magical miracles. And that's really just been a huge part of our branding. It was unintentional. It's just something that we cultivated organically. It was from one of the conferences that we had attended. We stayed at an Airbnb, and there was a cat, little tiny cat, that was meowing outside. And the cat is actually in Lin's room right now. And it was, yeah.
Oh, so you rescued it?
We rescued a cat.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, and it was after a really long day of a real estate conference, and we, on the way there, we kept seeing like magical signs, like the word miracle and the word miracle in another area. And then we saw the cat, and we were just like, oh my gosh, like this is our like money-making magnet cat. And we just like to have a lot of fun. I think that the most important part about this journey so far is just having a good time and learning and growing as much as we can while, making it fun. But so I guess I'll start off on with my journey. I met Katherine, I think it was in February 2022, and that was the beginning of my real estate journey, where I didn't really know much about it. I just helped, my parents manage their properties. And because they do long-term hold, and that was pretty much all I knew. And I knew that I wanted to get into multifamily. Like I wanted to house hack my first opportunity in real estate investing. And I'm originally from California, and it was really difficult for me personally to find something there that would be worth the investment. And and being a Californian, a lot of us that live in California are in that bubble mindset of, oh, like I'm never going to leave California. But after some time and trying to make it work there, I realized maybe it is, maybe I should look elsewhere. And I came to visit Florida, and I fell absolutely in love here. And I actually...
You could tell them a little bit about that trip.
Yes. So I had one of my mentors was just like, hey, why don't you just go to Florida, just check it out, because I like to be near the beach, and I didn't want to leave California because of the weather, and it's just so beautiful and the nature. And she's like, well, Florida has a lot of beautiful weather and beaches and nature too. And I was like, okay. So I decided that I would go to Florida by myself and rent out a camper van for 2 weeks and explore Florida and just drive around on and have an adventure and see if I liked it. And I just, I'm pretty spontaneous. And so I just booked the flight, and I got there, I rented the van, and I just started my journey. And one of the members in Katherine and I's group, she actually had a realtor cousin that lived here in Florida. And he helped me look at some properties here. And by the second day that I was here, I found that this duplex that I'm actually in right now. And I put it, it was like just one of those things when it hit, everything I was looking for, because I had been looking in California for about a year. And so when I saw this one, it like hit the budget, it hit like just everything. Like it was just like, whoa, like this is my opportunity. And so I made the offer, and I got the house and one unit right now, which is covering most of my side right now.
So you're house hacking, basically.
I'm house hacking.
Yeah,
yes.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yes, house hacking. And yeah, so I've been in Florida since, and I moved here August 2022, and then after about a month here, I decided I'm going to go to some local RIA. So I went to a local RIA event, and that was the first RIA event. That was the magical moment where I met my beautiful sister and partner Lin. And yeah, we were introduced by Mary. She was in our group, Katherine and I's group, and she had introduced us and was like, you guys have to meet up. And so Lin and I, we like the instant we saw each other, we're like, hi, like we were like instantly, we just clicked, and we're like, do you want to invest in real estate together? And we're just like, yeah, let's do it. It was really, yeah, it was cool. But at that point, we didn't really know what real estate we wanted to do. We're like, do you want to do Airbnb arbitrage? Yeah, let's do Airbnb arbitrage. And then
shiny object syndrome. Oh, let's do this.
Yeah.
Oh, let's do that.
Well, we were so new in the journey, and I'll let Lin talk about her personal real estate venture as well. But we were just so new that you don't know what you don't know. So as we continue to go out to network and go attend conferences and meet other experienced real estate investors, we had the opportunity to fine tune our niche more and more and more and more, which is ultimately, so it went from Airbnb arbitrage to let's do wholesaling, because we have the idea, and now that we look back, it was a limiting mindset, a limiting belief that you have to start small before you go big. Like you have to do wholesaling, and you have to do single family, you have to raise the capital, and only then can you go into commercial or multifamily. And that was our mindset, and that's why we stayed there. But we attended another conference, and this was life-changing for us, because the panelists that were speaking, they were multifamily investors that have been doing this for years, and they were mentioning how if they could go back in time and start over from the beginning, what would they have done differently? And one of the panelists said that he would have skipped the wholesaling, he would have skipped the single family, and he would have went straight to multifamily because it's the same amount of work, it's the same amount of time you're investing, like it's the same amount of effort and energy put out. But if you start big, you get more of a return. You get more, more of a return for your efforts. And so we decided that we have a blank canvas. So we were just like, let's just go straight into like multifamily.
Go big or go home, right?
Go big or go home, exactly. Yeah, and that's one thing about Lin and I. We're just such big thinkers. We're just like, it's a little scary sometimes, but in a good way. But so as we continue to network again, we started hearing self-storage, and we're just like, like what is, what's self-storage? Like, what is that? And one common thing that we kept hearing about self-storage over and over are the benefits. It's recession proof, it's a great asset class. Like, and one thing that we heard is that I would invest in self-storage, I just don't know much about it. We kept hearing that again and again and again. I would invest in it, but we don't know much about it. And we weren't hearing like, many negative things about self-storage. And so Lin and I were just like, if we just educated ourselves and we have a blank canvas, and if, a lot of experienced investors are saying that it's the same amount of work that you put into, real estate investing, and we can transfer that over to self-storage, and why not start in self-storage? And that's just kind of how the story unfolded for both of us.
So I'm going to ask Lin to introduce herself a little bit, and then
Sorry,
no, you're fine.
And then I'm gonna ask you like what you found are the benefits and the of why self-storage ended up being where you went, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So go ahead, Lin. Let's hear about you a little bit.
So I was born in China. I came to this country when I was 15, knowing nothing about investment, and it was a coincidence that I got into a business school in my high school, and I fell in love with personal finance. And starting that moment, I started to read books about how to analyzing stocks, how to plan your retirement. And I start a student organization in my high school to educate around 20 kids on how to plan for their retirement. And I also set up a business. I actually raised $10,000 of money to invest. Oh, Sunshine is here.
Welcome, newcomers. I appreciate you coming.
I raised $10,000 to from friends and families to invest in the stock market, and I also hired. Well, not hired. I find 3 friends who want to learn about investing. So I offer my Saturday, so they can come to my home and study about it, and then we can do research on the companies. And we're doing like reporting, looking at annual statements, and all the fun stuff. And we're doing pretty good in return until I had to graduate my high school, and I decided to join the US Army because I'm just so intrigued by all the opportunities that this country provides. And I think that I should do something to return it back. So I was the only Asian girl in my school to join the military. And like there's no one in my family has that background. It was just me. I want to do it. And I graduated basic and AIT training pretty well. I'm like doing pretty well.
What
Go ahead.
Armed services were you in? Army, Air Force, or?
I'm in the Army Reserve.
Army Reserve. Okay.
Yeah. So doing like all the fun stuff. And after I come back, I was also in California back then. I went to a community college and continued to educate myself. And meanwhile, I also I met another really amazing lady. Her name is Ning, and we started a student organization called DECA. I'm not sure if you guys heard of it. It's actually a student organization to help the students to learn business subjects. And we actually turned it away into a networking club. So we invited, because the school's in Silicon Valley, so we see the opportunity to invite the speakers, professionals to come to the school and offer like career professional help. So things like correcting your resume, how to do networking, and we just start to learn how to really how to say that, really bring value to the school, because before we do it, no one in our school ever thought about creating an opportunity for students, because everyone was thinking, oh, we need to go to a 4-year college, and once then I will get into a good company and I will make some money. But I think we were just so forward thinking, and we're just thinking, okay, why don't we start a career fair? Like those career fairs are in college. Why couldn't it be in a community college? So we started reaching out to local businesses, and we actually invited 70 business to our school.
Oh, wow.
And what's so funny is that once we start the movement, the other clubs, the other presidents in other clubs, they also joined forces. So we had a pretty good success. About 1,000 members, well, not members, 1,000 students show up in the courtyard. And we also got a lot of money from sponsorship from the local restaurants, Jamba Juice, providing food and even money for an exchange that we advertise their company in our event. And we just like keep going with all these events. And we're invited by LinkedIn company to go to their headquarters several times. Like they help us with our LinkedIn profile and all the really amazing stuff. And from that experience, I just learned that don't ever limit yourself, even if you're in a community college, because your idea can change someone's life. Well, I didn't know who I changed, but I'm pretty sure we bring a lot of hope to them.
That's really impressive. I love that story. Yeah.
Thank you. And well, everyone, like none of my friends, they gave up finishing their homework, but I was so intrigued by doing this, so I didn't actually end up going to the college that I want to go to. But actually, when I actually find another opportunity to go to Florida to attend USF for their ROTC program. Not sure if you guys know, it's like a college military officer program.
Mm-hmm.
And I did pretty fine, but by the end of the semester, I was falling behind on my coursework because I was always interested to do extracurricular activity. And I'm not the type to study well in school. So I ended up dropping off. But meanwhile, I also continue to learn about investment, just never give up on learning about finances. And once I graduate college, I started working for Citibank. And my current job is the first position I'm in. I help, I'm in the clearing broker business, which help the hedge fund managers to execute and clear their positions. So basically, if they want to trade, they had to find a broker, just like we trade in Fidelity stocks. And the broker's job is to bring in capital, the support, the trade management. So I'm in the department, and it is an opportunity for me to learn how to communicate with the asset managers and be very professional on my emails and phone calls. So I'm very grateful for the opportunities. Okay, I know this is a really long story.
It's okay.
And 2 years in, I started to buy my first property with my VA loan. So I didn't put any down because it's 100% financed. And then I got another rental property last year, April. Then Mary, which happens to be the mutual friend of me and Sanary, she said that,
me.
oh my God. And she said, oh, I know a girl. She's just like you. You guys have to meet. And she put us in the group chat. And immediately we started to call each other sisters because of our name.
Yeah.
Because my name is Lin and her name is Sanary Lim. We're the Lin Lim sister. We just come up this idea of calling each other sisters organically. And we find out that we're both from California. We were both in the same city, Silicon. And we just think life is such a coincidence. And until we meet each other, and we're just like, wow, I've been searching for you for my whole life for this many years, and you just showed up.
I love that.
And we're both only childs too, so we don't have siblings.
Yes.
Uh-huh. And you're both now in Florida too, right?
Yes.
That's how we met, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and
Are you
especially
around the
we
same age?
Oh,
I'm
actually,
5 years older than Lin.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
yeah,
5 years older. Yeah.
yeah, and even more funnier is we have the same vision, like the eyesight, like near sight. We have the same shoe size, the same height.
You
We're
can
like,
share all your clothes.
yes, we actually share our shoes.
What part of Florida are you guys from?
Like the
Tampa,
Tampa
Florida.
area.
Lake what?
Tampa area.
Oh, Tampa, okay.
Mhm.
Tampa, yeah. We're just feeling like we're supposed to meet each other in any form, in any way, and we just find each other, and we just feel like we're gonna stay with each other for our whole lifetime.
I love that. That's so awesome. So, so you have a couple rental
story.
properties, it sounds
Yeah.
like, and then you guys met and you decided to you just started doing some research together and are now moving into self-storage. So tell me a little bit about, of all the things. I mean, it sounds like, you heard, well, if I were to do this, I would have gone bigger. So, I mean, I get that part. But what is it about self-storage that is so attractive to you? And, what makes you really excited about this part of the real estate industry? Either one of you can answer. Feel free, jump right in. And if
Okay,
any of the participants have questions, feel free to, you can put it in the chat if you want or whatever. Okay.
For me, particularly because self-storage is such a small community and pretty much everyone knows each other. So when you're asking for support, it's very easy to get it. And people know each other's deal. Like if I'm putting offer on one deal and I talk about it and they actually know it, even if it's off market. And I think that is amazing because you can really build a team of support and you guys can bring deals together and close together, especially because everyone is just so eager to, because it's a new product, so everyone is eager to help each other to grow together. That's my take.
Yeah, and I mentioned a few reasons earlier why self-storage was appealing to us, but one of the things that I do like about self-storage is, compared to all of the other asset classes, people say it's like not the most sexy class.
Believe
It's
me, I buy
self-storage.
notes. It's not sexy.
Yeah. But that's what we love about it. We love that it's not sexy because it's, even though it is more competitive now than it used to be before, it's not as competitive as single family and multifamily. And so, we like how we like how it's not, super competitive. We like how it's not sexy. We love the simplicity of it. It's compared to, multifamily and single family. It's a very simple, you don't have to deal with tenants. You don't have to, go get a call about plumbing in the middle of the night or like a tenant ruining your property. And you don't have to worry about putting out anyone out in the streets. It's, it's boxes and
People's stuff.
What was that?
People's stuff.
People's stuff, exactly. And it's just a simple business. And I think another aspect about self-storage that was very appealing to me is that it's not just real estate investing. It's real estate investing and it's also a business. And I'm very entrepreneurial and I love business. And so it was kind of like best of both worlds where you can purchase the property and it's you're investing in real estate, but also you can own, operate, and manage it, and have multiple self-storage facilities and have multiple businesses.
So what is a typical, so there are a couple questions. Is your self-storage units in Florida? Where are your current investments? And my question along with those is, are there some states that are better than others to invest in for self-storage because of, like for buy and holds or rental units and stuff, or even, even in my buying notes, there are tenant laws and things like that that can make or break your business basically. So I'm curious, is that true with self-storage in some way? And if so, do you have particular areas that you prefer, that you're looking at preferably to invest in, and why is that?
Do you want to take this one?
Oh, yes. So we are 126 days into the self-storage journey.
Mm-hmm.
We're pretty new. We
Love
submitted,
that.
yeah, we just built our team with 2 other amazing partners, and we submitted 5 LOIs already
Oh,
in the past
good.
2 weeks.
Congratulations.
Yeah. And we don't have a storage yet, but we're pretty confident we'll get one within the next 90 days because
Mhm.
one of the deal is in the final phase of discussion. So that one is a very high hope to get it. Is in Georgia.
Uh-huh.
So our market is in Florida. Obviously, because me and Sanary live here, Georgia is very close, and we also have a booth on the ground. And North Carolina, South Carolina, because of the terrain, there were a lot of mountains.
Mhm.
And because of that, it's a natural barrier for the big companies to develop over there.
Mhm.
Ohio is where our other partner lives in, Tennessee and Alabama. So there are 7 states that we're targeting.
So
We're still-
mostly southeast kind of.
Yeah,
area.
southeast. We're still working on building the lead gen for 4 of the states because we just formed our team. Currently, most of the leads are coming from either referral or social media, or people just reaching out to us saying, "Hey, I have a deal. Do you guys want to look at it?" And that's all because of Sanary doing such an amazing job posting on social media.
It's awesome. That is
Yeah.
awesome.
Did that answer all the questions?
What was, I had a question.
Okay.
What was it? Go ahead.
How much down payment?
Oh, yeah.
So for Lowry, so it all depends on how you structure it. Most of the storage owners are open to seller finance because they've been holding it for so long. They don't owe bank any money, and they're open to it because they know the interest rate is really high. So the Georgia deal that we're negotiating right now is 30% down. We actually got a verbal yes in the past for another 30% down. Even 0% interest rate. It all depends on if you can meet the seller's criteria, like what exactly is they're looking for. Are they looking to retire and having a really good monthly paycheck, or do they want down payment so they can buy something else? And because it's so flexible with seller financing, well, how to say that? It's usually 30% down seller financing, but it's possible that you can get it really low.
Yeah, seller financing is great because I mean I work with that all the time in the notes business, and you know, that actually it could they could be a prime candidate for me to buy the note from them if they decided they wanted to be paid out, and then I'm the bank and you guys pay me instead, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah,
So
makes sense.
you know, so in the future that could be a conversation that we could have, you know, to say, oh, you know, maybe your you know, your seller that, you know, you seller finance with just wants to be cashed out, and you know, and I buy the note from them. So that could be something to, you know, so keep that in mind. Just so you know, you can always call me. But what type of ROI does a typical self-storage unit or I guess are what you guys are looking for, or what's typical for the return on investment for a self-storage unit? Is that a good question to ask, or is there a typical number, or you know what I mean?
I mean, you know, it's I think this is a question for Lin on ROIs, but typically we would like to target 20% ROI. But you know, obviously we're flexible as well. You want to dig into that, sis?
Yeah, so usually we try to target 20% ROI. However, it all depends on the deal. At the end, the final number we're looking for is how much we can pay the investor, and we want to set a hard baseline, which is 20% annualized return. With the ROI should be at least 10%.
So are you hypothecating? Well, I guess that's not really a term that you use in are you just looking for investors as JV partners, or do you look for investors who are just basically you're giving them a promissory note with a guaranteed return over a period of time?
We actually consider both options. So when we have a deal, we first run through seller financing option with the seller because we know most of the seller would agree. And the remaining down payment, we'll figure out what percentage of borrowing a note makes sense and what percentage of partnering up with people makes sense. And we probably will find the perfect mix where it produced the highest return. And when we do that, we project 5 years from today, if we sell the storage, how much we're taking out and how much the annualized return for the investor will get. So we had to run multiple different scenarios to figure out which one is the best. But from my 120 days of experience, I see that it's better to have a mix of partnership and loan, because right now, if we pay partners 8% interest every year, plus the upside when we sell the storage, is pretty much the same thing as borrowing from a private lender at 8%. However, when you sell the storage, you had to pay out the lender the entire amount. But if when you sell the storage, you actually pay a percentage of the partners. So you actually do have a better, you do have a better return in that case. If you do partnerships.
Your partners do, yeah.
Yeah.
How large are the self-storage units you guys are looking at? Like 20
units,
50 units? Like what are you guys looking at? Or minimum amount of units?
Sis, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, so we're looking at square footage as part of our buy box, and it's it's a big range, but we're looking at 15,000 square feet to 75,000 square feet. I'm not really like, how many units do you think would be a 15,000?
I think 15,000 is around at least 100 units. So 75 is probably 100 to 500 units. Yeah. Because the team is relatively new, we've been focusing our lead gen on the smaller units. So we don't have a lot of lead on the bigger ones, but we're gonna start working on that. Because we figure out like it's the same amount of work time to buy a small one versus a big one. Why don't we just go bigger?
Yeah, same concept again.
So what kind of price point does that look like? I'm totally new to that area too. So, obviously it depends on location and things like that, but do you, in your buy box, do you have a particular price point that you're kind of staying within? Like for me, right now I typically buy notes that are the property value itself is worth between 250 to 300,000 max. Notes are obviously the note, the unpaid balance on the note itself could be between, I don't get anything under 50K, but so between 50 and 125 is basically right now what I'm buying. So I'm just curious, like what in your buy box, and in particular states I look at, and I do single family properties because I want to help them stay in the property. So, but I'm just curious what kind of, do you have kind of a budget, I guess is the word, that you're looking at in your buy box for right now as you're starting, even though it may be big, you know what I mean? I'm just curious about how, because I don't know anything about the self-storage industry. So I'm just curious. I have no idea.
Right. Yeah. So again, like Lin was saying, the smaller facilities and then the bigger facilities, if we can, if it were, up to us, we would, and we are, that's why we leave it open, because if you start off with a bigger facility, you do get a bigger return for the same amount of work and the same amount of expenses that are going to be into the facility. So, we right now as beginners, we've been looking at deals around the like 1.5 to 2.5 million range. And right now we're saying that we'll go up to 4 million, just to leave that open for opportunity. But starting off, I would say that, we're at the, just to get our feet wet, the 1.5 to 2.5 million range.
Yeah.
And do you prefer to have one investor to help you with that down payment, or are you looking at multiples? Because then that can get into, SEC issues and things like that, right? Unless you're JVing everybody, I guess. Or, I do a lot of hypothecation, but that's a little bit different in the notes business. So I'm just curious how you're structuring your deals.
Right. So right now we can either do when there's a deal, we consider whether we're gonna use a private lender, one private lender to entire down payment, or are we gonna bring in partners? And if it's partners, is usually each person contribute like 40,000, 50,000. It depends on how much we need to raise and how many people we want to bring to the team. We can do JV. Or if the deal is really huge, we can do syndication. And there are a lot of investors who want to help us. They have experience in creating syndication before. So we already talked to like 4 people who want to do storage, and they say, I can help you with syndication.
But then that means if you're doing syndication, then they have to be, in a
general partner.
Right. Or, what's the term? Certified investor or
registered, accredited.
Accredited investors. Thanks. Yeah, I'm like having a brain moment. Accredited investors. So
I think you could do the 506B, right? Is it the 506B where it's just close friends and family and you don't
but
have
then
to
that's not necessarily syndication though, is it?
Yeah, it is.
Is it?
You have GP and LP partners.
Subset of it, yeah. It's a different code. Exactly.
Yeah, it's a different structure. Yeah.
Apologize that I'm also new into this, so I haven't studied much about the classification yet.
That's okay. I think these are just questions that are coming up, and I don't know all these things either. So
yeah.
And I understand. I mean, I'm new in the notes business too, so I get it. I really do.
Right.
I believe looking for like, are there value add plays for self-storage? And like the one that you guys are eyeing on in Georgia, what are the plans for you guys to add value?
So most of the storages are usually, because they were mismanaged, they have below the market rent. So once we target the market that the people are on the waiting list. So basically, if we raise the rent, they still have nowhere to go. So our strategy is, after we acquire the storage, we're gonna raise rent to the market price. That is the simplest way for us to do a value add. And it also depends on if we need to add a gate, whether we need to install cameras, lightings, whether we're gonna build additional storage on the ground, expansion plan. But the quickest way is to raise rent, and the storage that we target are all below market rate. We target the ones that they don't even have website, they don't answer their phone calls. Tenants cannot pay online directly. Yeah.
So it's similar to rentals, I mean, you're basically upgrading, but in the storage unit world, what an upgrade is versus toilets and tiles or whatever.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, and the thing about the self-storage asset class is that this was what I heard in 2020. I'm not really sure how much has changed now, but about 70% of self-storage facilities were owned by mom and pops, and a lot of these mom and pops, are not capitalizing and taking advantage of marketing and websites and ads and raising rents and all of the different ways that you can maximize your return on your facility. They weren't taking advantage of, and a lot of them are ready to retire and ready to just kind of just want to get their money from selling their facility, and they just want to move on. So we're also, there's a lot of mom and pop facilities out there that, there's a lot of opportunity for us to come in and just be like, okay, look, like where can we add value? And there's a lot of space for that. And so that's mainly what we've been targeting.
Are they like climate controlled facilities, or they're just basic?
Some of them are climate Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, it's usually a mix. Like out of a lot of the non-climate control ones, you have a hallway you can go into the storage, and there are a few climate controls. I believe the one in Georgia is non-climate control. Yeah.
Anybody have any questions or thoughts? I mean, I'm just
do.
shooting
I had
questions
a
because I'm so
question.
curious.
Are you looking to have an employee man the place, or are you going to do everything electronically, like all online, and rent the space online, and just have like a code for the customer to access the unit?
So our current plan is to try to reduce the cost for hiring someone on site, because it's not that many work and it's a lot of cost. So our plan is to do everything electronically, have set up the website and connect it to a call center that has someone to take the call 24/7. And we're gonna have one person going on the site every week to track the logs, to clean up the rooms. And that is basically our plan right now.
What's the contract like? Is it month to month, or can you just how far in advance do you let the customers know that you'll be increasing their rent?
So the contract is month to month, usually with automatic payment to the next month, and we just the rates will be fluctuating depending on. Just it's kind of like it's not the rate does not stay for the whole year, and we haven't owned a storage yet, but I would say maybe 2 to 3 months before we increase the rent. Sis, do you know more about it?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard from, other self-storage investors, and they raise their rents very frequently. Like every couple months, they have the ability to raise rents, and that's something that's also different than residential and multifamily. You have a cap on how much you can raise rents, whereas in self-storage, you can raise the rents very frequently, as much as every couple months.
I guess that would make sense, because you're not and they don't have to have self-storage, versus having some place to live and your budget and everything. I mean, you don't have to have a place to store your crap, but you need a place to sleep at night, you know what I mean? It's I mean, it's more of an optional thing, versus kind of, if I don't have this place to live, I don't have anywhere to live. Or if I can't afford it because it keeps going up, then I'm in big trouble. I don't have a place to lay my head. So I guess it would make sense that there's not really a lot of regulation around how much you can raise the rent or whatever.
Right. And since
interesting
all
business
this
model,
and since all the storages are the rents fluctuates, even the rents even fluctuate from day 1 to day 30. Beginning of the month is usually let me think. Beginning of the month is usually high, and then the end of the month is usually low. Oh wait, I could be wrong. Hold on, let me think. End of the month.
Well, if it's the end of the month, they prorated it for that month, so it would be lower. But I guess I'm not understanding what that means. What do you mean?
I'm saying some of the large rates, their rent is different every single day. If you want to analyze the rate, you have to look at the whole month and average it out.
Interesting. So they rent by the day?
Well, I think that is when they attract new customers, their rent changes. So at the very beginning of the month, I believe that's when people sign contracts. So they have a higher rate, and then at the end of the month, that's when people move out, so their rate decrease.
Interesting.
And because
people, so that you don't have an unused month.
Right.
Like at the end of the month, if you know someone's leaving, you might lower the rent a little bit just to attract a new customer.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And because everyone is changing the rent rate, is not easy for the customer to move all their stuff out. They probably had to, hire a U-Haul and find another storage, and then another storage also changes rent, so they might have just stayed.
Interesting.
When you guys are looking at a storage unit, is there some type of back of the napkin quick underwriting that you would do to see if it would make sense? Like with long-term rentals, you used to have this 1% rent to price ratio. Is there something like that for storage units where you can say, okay, this might be a potential and opportunity to invest in, and then you dig deeper if it does make passes that back of the napkin type of,
So yeah, before we start underwriting, we need to qualify if it's a right market, and by doing that does this city has a positive population growth in the past 10 years? What is the population growth this year? Is it about 1%? 1% is our minimum. What is the population for this city? It has to be, don't quote on me, I believe that was, you can look it up. It's on our buy box. And the median income has to be between around 60K to 70K. Within that buy box, then we will look into the facility. And when we do it, we need to know the current NOI, net operating income. That is the income after you pay all the expense before you pay the mortgage. And with that NOI, and if you know the purchase price, you can calculate the cap rate. And use the cap rate, you can basically qualify whether it's a good one or not.
What cap rate are you prefer looking at?
So when we really look into the storage, we don't really qualify it based on cap rate, but we're looking at somewhere around at least four cap. Yeah. But if it's below 4 cap, we still dig further. And there's another indicator that we can quickly qualify is if the bank payment is higher than NOI. Like for example, if I borrow a bank that covers 80% of the purchase price, does that monthly payment exceed our NOI? And if it exceed, then it won't be a deal that we want to, unless we can do seller financing.
Right.
Yeah. Does it help with the question, Melody?
It does. I guess it's similar to long-term rentals because that's what I'm investing in right now. So that's what I know, and I guess it's similar.
Yeah, it's all very similar.
So the metrics for the population growth that we have here is we're looking for about at least 15,000 to 1 million second tier city. And then we also want to take a look at the median income of that population as well. So 50,000 we want it to be about 50,000 to 60,000 a year. 2% of income we want 2% of their income to be utilized as storage. And then we also want at least a 0.8% annual population growth, as well as long-term growth. And we want to see shops and opportunities such as Starbucks, Chick-fil-A, Home Depot, Walmart, Lowe's. Those are all, indicators of it being a good area to invest in self-storage.
All right, I just raised the bar. I told you guys 1% population growth, 60K income. I just raised our criteria.
Do you have a maintenance budget?
Yes, the maintenance is so the overall expense is around 30% to 40% of the revenue. That including maintenance, admin, website, call center, insurance, and even including tax. So maintenance, I need to look into the tool. I believe is like 1 or 2% of our revenue.
Okay.
What kind of
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Lin.
It's not that many maintenance because you really don't have anything to fix. You probably
light bulbs.
Yeah, just like light bulbs. Probably have to replace doors every 10 to 20 years, and then replace the roof. That's pretty much it, and painting.
And is there a percentage rate for lost income from people moving out? Like, how do you figure that? Like, empty units.
Vacancy, yeah, vacancy rate.
Yeah, that's a really good question. So right now, when we're looking at deals, usually the broker will tell us what the vacancy is. And when we do our market research, most of them are 100% occupied and most of them are on waiting list. So we just basically call all the storages nearby within 5-mile radius. And they usually say, we're full, you had to wait for next year. So we figure out then the market is pretty much full. So if we do raise our rent, we're pretty confident that we're gonna keep most of our people.
They have nowhere to go.
Yeah.
Maybe you can expand it too, add some units.
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
Yeah, and then I remembered Melody in the beginning of the Zoom. She mentioned boat and RV storage, and that's actually, we fine-tuned our buy criteria. And we would like to have, the self-storage in itself is amazing, but our most ideal property or facility is self-storage that has boat and RV storage as well, or room to expand and build that boat and RV storage. And according to a lot of the speakers that we've attended at the workshops, at the self-storage conferences that we've been to lately, mentions a boom, like an upcoming boom of the boat and RV storage asset class. So that's kind of the next big thing. So Lin and I kind of want to get our feet in there, a hybrid of the self-storage and the boat and RV storage as well.
Yeah, and adding on top of that, which this is what a lot of storage owners are already doing. If they have vacant land, they just lay gravel and turn it into parkings for the boat and RV. So which is a very easy conversion. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Sweet.
Great, thank you. Yeah, thank you. I'm the one who asked about that, so I appreciate that.
Oh, right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody
you guys
else?
have really
Any
good
other
questions, by the way.
Yeah.
I just love that you guys are like fearless. You're just like, we're getting this done.
Yeah, I love that too. Yeah.
There's an issue, but we'll figure it out. Oh, there's an opportunity. We're going to add that on. It's great.
Yeah,
we'll
just
have to have you on
that...
next year, after a year from now, to see where you've come and what you've been, and to hear more about like what you've bought and how it's going and everything. And it'll be really interesting to hear about that.
Yeah. We just believe that whenever there's a challenge, someone will find someone to figure out, and if not, then some resources or opportunity will show up, and that's just how we believed it, and that's why we're able to find our team who exactly offset our skill sets, and they're doing amazing on underwriting and lead gens, and we're doing networking and other stuff. Yeah,
Leah underwrites. She's really good at that.
Well, I was a banker, so I kind of know how to do the basic math. And again, it's like you said, box. It's the same kind of thing with having underwriting criteria that you have like your 20% ROI goal. So it's you're just working backwards into the numbers.
Right.
But the networking is one of the most important aspects, because if this doesn't, if it works out or if it's not exactly on target, then you're meeting people all along the way.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
you mentioned several times about the conferences. So could you talk a little bit about them? Is that pretty common? How do you know what's a good one to attend, or the size of them? Just in general, a little bit about them. It seems like you really depend on them to get a lot of information.
Right. So are you talking about self-storage conferences specifically? Yeah, so there's I did some research on all of the possible self-storage conferences that we could attend, because Lin and I, before we even got into self-storage, we went to other conferences and other networking events, and we, like Leah was saying, we found so much value in networking and just meeting people. And so as soon as we discovered our niche in self-storage, we instantly wanted to attend like every self-storage conference that we could possibly attend. So there's the National Self-Storage Association, so they're the SSA, which is, again, that's a national association, and they have a fall conference as well as a spring conference. These are two really good ones to attend. We just attended the spring one in New Orleans, and that was an amazing experience. We learned a lot. There was a lot of education, but again, the key was the networking, the people that we met there, the potential partners, the potential lenders, the trade show that had all of the vendors that would be working with us for potential expansions in the future. Like, that part was super valuable. And there's also a fall one for the SSA coming up in September in Las Vegas, and that one is going to be a really good one. If I were to recommend anyone attending one of them, it would be that one. You can go to the website and find out more information about that. And there's the National Self-Storage Association also has subgroups depending on your state. So we also attended the Florida Self-Storage Association, and that one was a little bit more intimate and small, but it was still extremely valuable, again, from the workshop sessions that we attended, and the people that we networked with and the people that we met there. We actually got invited to a broker dinner at the Florida Self-Storage Association, and from attending that broker dinner, we actually got a lead that we ended up submitting an LOI for. And so if we hadn't attended that conference and we hadn't met the brokers, then we wouldn't have gotten that lead and that opportunity. So it was just very impactful for us to attend. There's also one coming up this April, Inside Self-Storage. That's another association of self-storage, ISS, and that's coming up in April. That one, unfortunately, Lin and I won't be attending. We wish we could, but we're pretty limited on how much time we have, because Lin still works her 9 to 5, and I still have my own personal business. And then there's like this mentor. He's kind of like the self-storage guru. His name is AJ Osborne, and he's the one you can go listen to podcasts for. You can go on YouTube and you can learn more about self-storage. Again, his name is AJ Osborne. Super valuable and a great resource for learning self-storage. He has a conference coming up in June, which we're very excited for. This one's a little bit more general. There's going to be self-storage talk, as well as general multifamily and single family real estate investing, as well as speakers there. And again, that's coming up in June, and those are pretty much wraps up the year of self-storage conferences that we can attend in US.
Sounds like fun.
That one's in Idaho.
That's in Idaho with
That's
AJ.
in Idaho, Boise, Idaho, the AJ one. Yeah. Yes, and that one's going to be very intimate. The tickets a little bit higher, but we get more one-on-one, not one-on-one, but the speakers are going to be going around, and we get to connect with them on a more intimate level, which I think is super valuable. So we're really excited about AJs. We're going to that one for sure.
And when did you say that one was?
That one's in June 11th to the 14th.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those small conferences are huge. I just came from, I did a one in February for Notes. It's called Noteworthy, and I think they max 150 attendees. So, and the speakers are so high quality, and they hang around because it's so small, and the kind of connections that you make and the conversations that you have, because it's such a small, intimate setting over 3 days, that you really get to know some of the, it's highly recommend those small conferences. Sometimes they do cost a little bit more, but not always, actually. And then, I find that some of these in the notes business, the big conferences with all the huge hedge funds and stuff like that, well, I can't invest it there anyway. Because that kind of money, I just don't have that kind of money right now. And that's okay, because, you buy whole packages of notes, and they may or may not fit my criteria, but that's just how the hedge funds sell them, or the banks, Big Chase or all these, huge banks sell them. But, and those are usually really expensive to go to as well. And I'm like, Go to those small ones. They're so much more fun, I think. So
yeah, they're a lot of fun. And I don't know, if you guys follow our social media, you'll see that Lin and I are kind of silly when we go around, and it's it's more of like we have fun. We have fun. We go around like singing jingles and chanting mantras, and it's cool because it does, we do stand out, and people do remember us, and yeah, we do this our little pose, and it's a lot of fun to build our network and build relationships. I think that's one of our most favorite aspects of this journey so far.
Well, and I think that your branding has been so fun and interesting, and I think that really has brought you the success that you're bringing, because you guys are so different. You're not boring at these conferences. You're not just and I love it. And the fact that that you teach these people to say your what, eight figure, eight figure, all the M's, and and it's hilarious to watch, especially these guys in real estate investing, and they're trying to keep up with you, and it's hilarious. I love it. But they're game, and they of course they're going to remember you, and that's what's important. So I love that. It's just so much fun. I'm like, oh, I want to do that.
Yeah, I mean, a big, I know this is like real estate and investing, and that's all, of course, the core and important. But one thing that Lin and I, as we partnered up, we discussed that we had like a core mission and a core value that's just and we realized that we needed to have the mindsets in order to manifest. We like to use the word manifest this vision that we have. And we have conversations all the time, and it's about having the right attitude, the right mindsets, and our mission and our value is really to just spread like positive energy and help make this world a better place. And it starts with today. And when we go to these conferences, in the beginning we used to be intimidated about, wow, these people are so much more experienced, and we would get and like just like shy, and then we had a conversation when we realized, we may be new, but one thing we do bring to the table is our like a positive attitude, and we're all just here we all have the same mission, we all have the same goals, and why not just release that limiting mindset and just be ourselves. That's just one thing that we keep reminding ourselves, like even if we're new, even if we don't have our first facility yet, we just need to be ourselves. We need to just keep showing up. We need to connect and be authentic and add value to others. Everyone that we meet, what can we do to add value? What can we do to work together and make this a beautiful synergistic partnership? And so far that's worked pretty well for us, and we just that's what we remind ourselves all the time as we go along this.
I love that.
Yeah,
so great. So congratulations on how far you guys have come in such a short time, and I really look forward to hearing about whether or not your letter of interest has been accepted and how that goes, and so keep me posted. But does anybody have any other questions or thoughts, or even general real estate questions? I mean, we kind of open this up, we're all here to work together and share and support each other. So anybody have any things that are showing up that you want support with, that we may or may not be able to help you with, any asks, or I as far as I'm concerned, we'd love to be supportive in any way we can.
Well, Katherine, I'm really interested in the notes investing. That's always been on my mind for the past couple of years. So be very interested if you held a webinar and teach us a little bit about how to get into that.
Oh, I would be happy to do that. It's been my whole universe for the last year at least. I've been investing since 19, but just moved into notes in the last year or so. So I'm really excited about it, and I think that it's such a great space. And as Sanary had mentioned earlier, the notes business, it's not sexy, it's not and it's a really small space to be in, small. They're just not as many people doing it as like flipping and things like that, because it's not, you know, it's a lot of research, it's a lot of paperwork, and it can be a little bit daunting and somewhat tedious if you know, but it, once you know kind of how to do the research and what you're looking for and everything, it becomes, I think it's really exciting. So I'd be happy to talk about it. Maybe we'll do that next month.
Okay.
Yeah, I talked a little bit about it in January because I didn't have a guest speaker, but you know, maybe we'll bring in, it depends. Let's see, I've asked somebody already to come in next month. Let's see if she accepts, and if not, maybe I'll jump in. So yeah, excellent. But Melody, you do multifamily, is that what you said?
I do small multifamily, yeah.
Uh-huh. And where are you looking? You're in New York, right?
I'm in New York, but I'm out of state investing in Georgia and Missouri and Kansas.
Uh-huh. Yeah, those are good locations.
Yeah. But Georgia's great. I mean, that was like my first market, and it's boomed since I started investing in 2018. So now I'm looking, and I did a couple of syndication investing. So I want to get into more passive investing, and that's my goal this year. Because the long-term rentals, you know, I have property managers, but you still deal with the headaches, you know.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and last year I sold a few of the properties, so I have some capital to deploy.
Well, notes are great for that because, you know, I do hypothecations often. So it's almost just like you're in a lender position almost, and for a particular term with a guaranteed rate of return. That's kind of how that works.
That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you want, you can reach out. We can have a chat about that. And I mean, we can just chat anyway, and I can tell you about the notes business, but that's kind of, and then, you know, if we do performing notes, those are passive, you know, kind of income for my investors. It's just coming in on a regular basis. So, it just depends on how we decide to structure it and stuff like that. So,
Okay.
you know, that's the investor that I look for most.
Okay. How do I get in touch with you?
I'll just put my email in here. And my phone number, and you can just give me a text. Just let me know who you are.
Okay.
Or
and
email.
Sanary and Lim, I just followed you on Instagram, so you have to post your progress, okay? I'd like to see your progress.
They're so fun. I love watching them. So I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, Viv, thank you so much. It was so wonderful to connect with everyone tonight, and we would love to stay connected. And thank you for following us, Melody and Lori and Leah. If you want to follow us too, we're at 8M Infinity Storage, and you can find us on Facebook as well, Facebook and Instagram, and we post.
Oh, yeah. Lori's phone. I paste our link in there in the chat.
Oh, you did? Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Well, if you guys, I mean, also, I mean, honestly, I would love it if you guys came each month, just to be part of our group, you know what I mean? And hear about what other people are doing and chime in. And if you need help or support or whatever, I mean, this isn't just about, you know, one asset class. It's really about, to me, this space, my ideal is to just build a support of women investing in real estate. And, you know, no matter what level you're at, or, you know, even if you're just dipping your toes in, you're just not sure. I want this space to be that kind of that place, because there are a ton of men out there, and they've got their own, there's so many, you know, male dominated and groups out there that cater to that kind of paradigm, if that makes sense, that masculine paradigm. And we women, we work a lot differently. And so I think that if we could just all be in sisterhood together as we're, you know, diving into real estate, it's, I think that we're just more powerful that way. And we can, you know, I mean, you guys may be looking for investors for that particular asset class, and I may run into somebody who, you know, I'm talking to about notes, but they're like, oh, I'd really like to try to do something in self-storage. I'm like, oh, great. I know these people, you know, I know amazing women in self-storage or whatever. So, you know, join us each month. We always host on the, what is it, the third Tuesday. Is that what I've decided? Whatever this Tuesday is. Fourth, is it the third or fourth Tuesday of the month? And at the same time, and and if you ever have ideas of, or you meet somebody who you'd love to hear from, who may be a great speaker, I'd love to hear about that too. Just reach out and just say, hey, there's this woman I met. She would be amazing to bring into the group or whatever. So
what group are you referring to?
this meetup group.
Did I join it?
You must have joined it. You had to have joined it to come to the today. It's women, what do we call it? Virtual.
Oh, virtual real estate investing ConnectHer.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's us. So
Okay,
there's
so then I should get notification for upcoming events then.
Yeah.
Because okay, got it. Yeah, I'm a member now. Okay.
Yeah. So each month we just do one a month for now. And that may change in the future, who knows, but join in, and I'd really love this to be a really dynamic group that we all get to know each other a little bit better and can really support each other, and on this journey that we're in this real estate investing world. Like I said, that's a big masculine world in real estate, and when we partner together as women and sisters, amazing things can happen. So I'm so grateful to have you all here. And thank you, Sanary and Lin, for, sharing your knowledge and your journey in this space, because I'm so excited to see how this goes for you. And I mean, everybody's always like, oh, well, I have to be an expert before I talk. I'm like, no, I mean, you guys know way more than I knew about self-storage. And I think you were really informative and really helpful. And yeah, maybe you don't know everything, but you sure gave us an education today, as far as I'm concerned. So thank you for coming and sharing, just where you're at. It's really, I loved hearing about it, and I'm really excited to see where you go.
Of course. Thank you so much for having us. Yeah. Do you guys mind if we take a quick group photo?
Sure. Lori and Sunshine, do you want to come on video? Would that be all right?
So our little, I don't know what you want to call it, but what we like to do is we like to do this cat face. So we could all do this little cat face.
By the way, this is the cat.
Oh, that's the cat. That's story.
His name is eight-figure multi-million
money-making
magnets manifesting magical miracles.
That's the cat you rescued?
That's the cat we rescued.
That was awesome.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Did you get it, Sunshine? Yay!
Thank you.
No one can run for political office because
oh no. Believe me, that was not on my wish list.
I know, right? That's just joking.
Well, I really appreciate. Oh, I love it. Look at how fun. Yay.
It's good. I like it.
Is it okay if I post it on social media?
Sure.
Are you guys okay?
I'm okay.
Totally. Yeah.
Yay.
Feel free to tag us or whatever you need to do if you want.
Okay.
Awesome. So next month, hopefully we'll see you all again. And if you know of any women who might be interested in joining the meetup group, you can send them a link and have them join. And I can't wait to see you again next time. And yeah,
Katherine,
reach out.
Katherine, quick question. If you don't have a host for next month, will you still hold the webinar?
Yes.
Just for us to collaborate?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah, we'll still be here. Excuse me. Just have a little tickle all of a sudden. Yeah, I'm committed to doing this. This is not my forte, running these kind of community. So a little background. A year ago in 2021, January of 2022, sorry, a friend of mine who is great in marketing and really great at building community, she wanted to start investing in real estate. And so she reached out to me and said, hey, I would love to work with you on this and learn from you if I can and everything. And she goes, and I think we should have a community. And I'm like, great. She goes, and I'll run it. And I'm like, even better, because, you know, I've got enough on my plate. And she's just really great at it. So she actually built the graphic. She designed the graphic for this. And she's, you know, so her name's Tiffany. And so we started this meetup group, and it was great, going great. And then she decided to move into a different space. She, you know, she's like, you know what, this is just not, you know, touching my passions. And she has this whole new, it's called You Me She, and she's really building the biggest women's festival out there, and it's supposed to launch this fall. So look for it. She's got land in, she's in Austin. So it's outside Austin, Texas. She's got land that she's rented, and this is going to be an amazing festival. So, so she kind of went in that direction, which was totally fine with me. But I kind of then dropped the ball a little bit on running this group, because I'm like, oh, great, this isn't what I had planned, but you know what? I really want to do it. So I hemmed and hawed, and I was just so busy building my notes business and everything that, but then the meetup was going to expire, and I'm like, you know what, Tiffany, I'll take it over. So I did, and then I restarted in January, and that's kind of where we're at. So my goal is to really make this a thriving space for women, and you know, get out of my comfort zone in running communities like this, and but really a supportive space. So even if I don't have a speaker, which is my goal anyway, we will still be meeting on the third, I think it's the third Tuesday of the month at the same time. So, you know, just to, even, like you said, to collaborate, to discuss, to ask questions of each other, and to just be here together in community and sisterhood.
Well, thank you for putting it together.
It's my pleasure. So, and also, just so you know, if you are, so there are 3 virtual meetup groups in the meetup community, all called the same thing. One is located in New York, one is located in Austin, Texas, and one is located in LA. And that was just so that we could reach a larger community, but they all meet at the same time. It's the same group. It's just, you know, so if you don't see a lot of people signed up from your meetup, it could be that they, you know, Austin has signed up a lot of people for that meetup. It could be LA has signed up for that meetup. So, you know, we're pulling from a larger group than just your own, that own particular meetup group, just so you know. So show up. So, I will be here. So you can always come and just have a chat with me if you want.
All right. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Thanks, ladies.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so
Thank
much. And we'll see you
you.
next month.
Good to see
Okay.
you.
Have a good
Thank you
night.
so much. Good luck.
Bye.
I can't wait to hear.
Yay.
Do good, you guys.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.